thing a deer does.
Yeah.
Like, hey, maybe these acorns over here taste different than these acorns.
I would love to go down to Columbus and have Brewdog for dinner. I'm not going to do that, but I would love to.
Not with that attitude. But the one thing with you though is like, especially since you're running corn, like I would try to definitely think about getting into a different location because that corn come late October, early November, that's gonna be.
Yeah, so
you can't rely on it like you can on early season.
So are you thinking about mobile hunting at all and not just hunting the stands that you have up?
Well, right now I only have the one stand up. There was the one that I was in last year, but. Like he had stated in the very beginning of this, like my season is nothing like last year. Actually, in about 2 weeks, I would have been tagged out by now if this was last year's season.
A hair past a freckle?
Yeah.
Well, I think it was. I think it was tonight. A year ago, we had that double.
Yeah. Actually, I think it was because I remember.
I'm like 90% sure we doubled a year ago today, and then it was a crazy week because like he shot a doe on Friday. Dad shot a buck Saturday. I shot a doe Tuesday. We both shot does Friday. And then Dad shot another doe on Sunday.
So
it was just jam-packed for like 9 days. Like we were just killing.
So a couple weeks later, I shot that buck.
You're planning on different strategy this year. As you have gone through your last 2 weeks of season. Yeah, we're 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, 2.5 weeks, huh?
Now what are you thinking?
Man, Bohem sucks.
I remember that's exactly like what his dad and him said last year. He's like, look, we're excited for you. We're happy for you, but
this is gonna.
We hate you right now.
No, we never. Like, we weren't mad at you. Like we were. Well, we were so excited for you, but we were just like, it was super awesome that happened. But that was the worst thing to happen to a new bow.
Then you like your expectations are a lot higher, like
because you went into this season like, well, it's gravy, dude. I got this.
And now like. Every time I go out, I learn something different. Okay, how the deer move, how they react to certain things, their movements, like their body language. Like you learn something new every single time.
Absolutely.
Whether you're successful or not, like I will never say like these nights where like I haven't shot. Like even like I told you, like last week I took a shot at a doe and I missed.
Yeah.
Which it's all a learning curve, and just learning how they react and where they're coming from and where they're going to. Like every single time I go out, it's something different, whether I'm successful or not. But like the big thing that like I'm seeing now is one, their movement has changed. They're coming from a different direction because they're doing it every single night.
Yeah, but that's so good to know that though.
And then
my boy's growing up.
Like I remember when I first got in there. Before season started, I'm looking at the trails that are coming in because they still came into that area, even though I didn't have corn out.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing the trails go down to that swamp, and I'm like, "Yep, they're still running that trail."
Yeah.
They have. I've seen maybe 3 deer run that trail.
There's a big pattern switch as soon as the velvet comes off.
Well, we also have a very different acorn year this year than
this is a big year. This is a big year for the red oaks.
So spread out.
So like we won't have another acorn year like this until roughly 27.
Yeah.
Because red oaks produce every 3 years.
Yeah.
They big drop every 3 years.
But next year should be a great white oak.
Yeah. White oaks drop every year. They have better years than others.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think next year is going to be a good white oak.
And if you want an acorn drop, white oak's the one.
I was texting. I was going nuts the first week of the season because you kind of got to like reacclimatize yourself to being out and the sounds and what you're listening for. And I kept saying, "Oh man, I'm hearing all kinds of stuff." And he's like, "Yeah, those are acorns, Nick." I'm like,
he's like, "They're behind me running the whole night."
Non-typicals running around everywhere.
And he was telling us, "That's a heavy running around behind me all night." I was like, "What did it sound like?" He was just like,
"Dude, it is so funny how
like those are acorns falling."
You're like, "Oh, that has to be a deer." But you're watching the leaves going, "Why is that so loud?" This was a very good year for at least reds.
I saw a chart the other day, and it made a lot of sense. It was hunter success rate in Ohio versus the acorn crop. So you had about a 2-year span where acorn drop was low, hunter success was high. And in that year 3, they flip-flop. The success was low, acorn crop was big. So that big acorn dump in history has related to a less successful deer season statewide.
Well, that can also tell you exactly where guys are setting up on.
Not on the oaks.
Not on the oaks. They are setting up on field edges. Mm-hmm. This is the stand that I always hunt kind of thing, and they're not adapting.
Yep.
I kind of feel like that's where I'm at right now.
Which is kind of hard for me and Dad because we have that place well, but the food plots and that stuff. So like, I've hunted the food plots. I don't know how many times now. I've seen 2 deer.
Nick, this is the best time for you to learn how to adapt, because if you get that basis in now, you will never think of deer hunting as I will hunt X.
Yeah, don't be afraid to move.
My rule of thumb is, well, couple for deer. Find deer. And the second one is, don't hunt where you want to be, hunt where the deer want to be. Mm-hmm. If you can follow those 2 rules, you will be on deer all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something that I really want to do this weekend, because I wanted to give, like, I had talked to his dad for a while the other day, and one thing that I wanted to do, he's like, look, man, it's like, you've hunted almost every day since the season started. He's like,
pressure off.
He's like, yeah. He's like, you shot a one the other night. He's
we
like,
both told you to lay out
yeah,
there
he's
for
like,
a week.
you need to relax a little bit. He's like, remember, this is supposed to be fun. He's like, you're taking this pretty serious. It's like, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Dad shot that doe, and he came over, and I could just visibly see stress coming off his face.
That's tough too, especially when you go into the season where your last season was a high expectation.
Oh, yeah.
But now you're going through I have, what is it, 12, 15 weeks a season?
So like
and you're getting into the thick of like, I haven't got one yet. I am 2 weeks into my season as well, and I don't care. Like there's a lot of time left.
The thing that I think I'm kind of taking away as a positive is like, yeah, like it was awesome last year to like tag out within a month, but I've always learned better, and like I retain things better when I'm at a higher stress level. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. Like, I'm one of those hard-headed people that have to learn everything the hard way. You could literally tell me, hey, don't touch that, it's hot. And I'm like, it doesn't look hot. And then I'll touch it and be like, oh, you were right.
Here's the problem with that with deer hunting.
Those last 2 statements just amplifies the fact that you're a Marine.
Here's the problem.
First I have to suck at it, and then to do it the bad way, and it also has to hurt me.
Yep, pretty much.
The problem with learning stuff under stress when it comes to deer hunting is when you're stressed when you're deer hunting, you will make mistakes.
So we've talked about this before. And I don't know, I'll say it again the same way I said it last time. I don't know if it's divine intervention or the universe doing its thing. If you go into
never kill a deer on a bad
hunt,
day.
you don't kill a deer when you're having a bad day.
Yep.
I feel like the woods know.
Yep. If you go into the woods thinking, man, I gotta kill one tonight, you won't see nothing.
You have to accept.
But if you had a good day at work, maybe it's payday.
Peace.
Maybe, maybe something happened that was who knows what happened to you. But you're just in a good mood and you go hunting. I've killed more deer in a good mood than I have in a bad. I've never killed a deer when I'm like just mad at the world, pissed off.
Nope.
I've never killed a deer.
Nope, never happened. Like I'm sitting here hunched over, a little stressed because we have a lot to record tonight. But I know for a fact if I walked into the woods like this, I'd have a bad hunt.
Huh? And here's the thing, a lot of times, even though you go into the woods pissed off and mad at something, and you had a bad day, and you don't kill a deer, most time you come out of the woods, and you have multiple hours of clarity just to sit there, you come out in a way better mood.
Yeah.
You come out with a lot more, you come out with less weight.
Yeah.
That's like the other day, like I text him, I won't use the actual words that I used in that text, but I
say you had a little temper tantrum over the phone.
We're all entitled to one every
I had that doe come in, and she was probably about 25 yards, and like I was telling you earlier, like I kind of slowly just turned to see where she was at, because I had 2 more smaller does in that little 4-point in front of me, so I didn't want to spook them. But when they were finally looking away, I looked over at her to see what she was doing or where she was at.
Yeah.
And she was just like, hi, just staring straight at me.
Yeah.
And she was like, nope. And then she ran like 60 yards and I'm like,
She turned into an elephant?
yeah.
So
I've never seen that before.
Man, I remember a doe with a trunk, dude. That's neat.
I remember I texted him and I was livid.
Well, the night Dad shot his doe and I was getting down, I heard you getting busted.
So it is so important to actually appreciate those moments, because that's what a deer is supposed to do.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you're in that atmosphere and you're just being pulled in by the situation, good or bad, and a deer busts you, that's a deer being a deer. Mm-hmm. You can't be mad about that.
Well, the nice thing is I ended up going out. I think I waited a couple days and I went back out, and that was that doe, like I said, where she came in at 20 yards, kind of caught my wind, but she didn't spook. But then she went around my tree stand behind the tree, and I mean, I gave her like 5, 10, 15 minutes, and I didn't move. I stood still. And then I was like, okay, like I'm not hearing her move anymore. Like, did she? I don't know if she's right under me or if she walked away. I was like,
Yeah.
I gotta see what's going on. And all I did was just that, and she was just looking right at me as soon as I moved.
She probably circled to find your wind.
All right, so yes, but also, do you always hunt with a brim cap?
Yeah.
I love hunting with a brim cap for early season because you can actually block the sun a lot. And
Yeah.
I
Which
know,
my spot is
in the
terrible
podcast,
for sun.
I always have a backwards cap, but when I hunt, it's always forward. However, I hate hunting with a brim cap because if you have a, let's just pretend that this is my beanie. I love hunting with a beanie because my silhouette is exactly the same aside from my
Yep, you
Italian
turn your
nose.
head, your bill moves.
Yes.
I've thought about that so many times to stand. I'm like,
That-
man, if I'm like when I'm looking this way and the deer's back here, I can turn my head a little bit. They don't know, but as soon as I break that
I will
profile,
toss it up here right now, which I'm pretty sure is blocking the camera view on the field of food right now. Like from a deer's perspective, looking up, like if you turn your head,
that moves every time.
Yeah.
imagine that on the skyline. Deer know. We all wear hats.
So
Like,
it was
I'm
like-
the same way as you. Early season, when there's a lot of foliage, I'll wear a brimmed hat, and as soon as the leaves start dropping, I switch straight to a beanie. Because
So
I've
that was-
always thought that in the back of my head. I'm like, man, that's just going to stick out every time I move my head.
Yeah.
See, I constantly think about like, what am I gonna wear on my head? Because obviously I had to do something. Here.
Hopefully hair.
Tried it, doesn't work out. So like I'll wear like a hat like this, but I'm not so worried about the front of it because I always hunt with my hood up. But the camo that I'm wearing right now is obviously very thin. So one of my anchor points, it's weird, but like when I come back, I come right to my ear. I
That's
feel
a very common anchor point.
Yeah.
okay.
Which-
Well, like I'll feel like, you know, the lobe of my ear. And I remember last year, because like I had a bunch of like cold weather gear left over from when I got out of the Marines, I would put my beanie on and I would come back and the beanie was so thick I couldn't feel it.
Yeah.
And then same thing when I was like, okay, well it's cold, I'm gonna wear a face gaiter. So I got a, you know, camo face gaiter and I'm like, oh, that's great, but now I can't feel my contact point on my nose.
Yeah.
And I was like, what am I gonna put on my face?
I used to wear a face gaiter, balaclava, whatever you want to call them, and then when I was getting ready to shoot, I would always grab it and I would pull it down to my chin.
Yeah.
Because I was the same way. I even if I couldn't find this, I could always feel the string
Which
on my nose.
makes sense because if,
But
you,
that's
if
why
you can
you
do this, you can do that.
Exactly. That was kind of my test. If I can pull that down,
Yeah.
okay, I'm probably pretty good to draw.
Yeah.
Right, that's why like I use face paint. Like I usually would go right above my eyebrow and down. Hell, I even put some like green in my hands and like rubbed it on my
Hit
beard
the
before.
beard. I mean, might as well.
Man,
Nah, dude, late autumn, I blend in. I look
red over here.
I look like
that's
a white
why
oak.
he's successful.
I look like a white oak tree up there,
He's
son.
like, this is why I like hunting October.
Yeah, I just let my hair grow out.
Got a little more camo on that arm.
Sit there. Hey, I don't wear gloves no more.